Good morning, everyone. Happy day after Mother's Day. And welcome to another morning reading of Magic, homemade magic. Now, I've been doing this every morning at 10 o'clock. Every morning, I think there was one morning when we got our vaccination that we had to skip. So we've been doing this for over a year. And it's actually kept me pretty sane or saner throughout this whole pandemic shutdown and everything else. Uh, but I don't know how much longer I want to do it. I think I've gone through almost every book I've ever written, or every full book, and all of us need to some of us are going back to work and going back to school and things like that. So I don't know how many more days I'm going to be doing this, but we'll certainly finish up this book here. But what I want to tell you, if you haven't discovered this already, if you're watching this on Facebook, you can just go to my page, and up at the top, right under my profile picture, is a list of things. It'll say post, about, friends, photos, and it might actually say videos. But if it doesn't say videos, there's another little thing that just says more. And there's a little triangle, pull down menu. Just click more, and you can scroll down. You can see videos, and just click videos, and every one of these talks, every one of these morning talks is listed under my videos, and you can scroll down and rewatch all of these. If you're crazy enough, if you got another year. But anyway, they're all there. And if you're looking for one thing in particular or something like that, you can scroll down and with a little effort find your wanted chapter or section. So please, I encourage you to do that because, and some of them are even posted on YouTube. A friend has posted some of those, but it's more easily accessed if you just go to where it says videos on my page and scroll down and find them. Okay? Today we're on the chapter 12 of this, Raising Magical Children, or Raising Children. I shouldn't say it that way. Raising Children in a Magical Home. And it starts off with an epigram from the famous cliche epigram from Kahlil Gibran. Or Kahlil, I've always said it's Kahlil Gibran. Your children are not your children. They are sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, yet they belong not to you. Children, all children, are magical beings. When a child is present, you are in the presence of a god. That little kid is the most powerful, awesome, and terrible magician in the room, and you will surely suffer if you don't pay close attention. The child will soon enough grow into a floundering grown-up like yourself, but for a few golden years, you have the opportunity to learn from a master. This doesn't mean that you must put your magic on hold in order to raise a child. On the contrary, the moment the baby is born, your life gets really magic. But as a parent, magician, you must be perpetually mindful of the fact that the child is an ever-present and integral factor in the equation of your magical life. Try as you might, you cannot avoid the implications of this immutable fact of life. In the spring of 1971, Constance and I had been married for nearly 4 years. Wow, we're talking 50 years ago, like right now. In the spring of 1971. Wow. Constance and I had been married for nearly 4 years. One afternoon, we were both struck with the same irrational conviction that it was time for us to have a baby. We did some quick calculating in our heads and determined that if conception happened immediately, the baby would be born on Constance's birthday, February 27th. Eschewing our usual contraceptive precautions and ignoring the afternoon sun, we joyously and with full intent proceeded to conceive a child. It was no trouble at all. About a month later, while attending church services at the Self-Realization Fellowship in Fullerton Temple in Fullerton, California, Constance fainted. It was more like an ecstatic swoon. And I had to help her outside to the temple gardens. There, sitting on a marble bench in the cool, shaded garden, she blissfully announced that she was now sure she was pregnant. She was right. And on February 27th, 1972, we woke up and said, "Today's the day we're having a baby." We took a long walk to El Matador, our favorite Mexican restaurant, and gorged on guacamole, chips, and cheese. Then, as if we were not stuffed enough, we walked even farther from home to Thrifty Drugstore for a double scoop ice cream cone. We waddled back home from our gluttonous adventure in the late afternoon and amused ourselves by playing penny-ante poker and mused over the fact that we still hadn't chosen a name for the baby. Early in the evening, Constance's water broke, and we were off to the hospital in my light green 1950 Chrysler Windsor, which we named Martha. Constance brought along a framed picture of our favorite guru at the time, Paramahansa Yogananda, which she set up at her bedside in the labor room. His serene image comforted us both immensely during that long night. Our beautiful baby boy was born a little over 6 hours later than we had calculated 9 months earlier, and our lives instantly became even more profoundly magical. Several days later, we settled on the name, Jean-Paul. On our first date back in high school, Constance told me she wanted 6 children. She had names for all of them. The first was to be named Jean-Paul. I was really hoping she'd forget the other 5 children idea. Even though for the next 20 years we would be operating a very active magical lodge out of our house, we tried to raise our son in the most normal environment possible. It was as if the 3 of us were growing up together. We never excluded him from lodge activities, with the exception of the super secret OTO initiation ceremonies. And we took him everywhere with us. Lodge and class members became our extended family and provided him with a collection of colorful aunts and uncles whose love continues to bless our lives. For his part, Jean-Paul was always a very good sport, sharing his home and his parents with countless out-of-town guests, taking part in rites and plays. For years, he read all the parts of the fairies in our backyard performances of Midsummer Night's Dream. And helping us move furniture to prepare for masses and initiations. The three of us were a team. We amused ourselves and we amused each other. We were and still are our own best audience and best friends. We opened our home to Jean-Paul's school friends, who also enjoyed the colorful craziness of the eccentric DuQuette household. We remain friends with all of them. Okay, I'll pause for a second, because there's a picture of Jean-Paul and his friend Abe Britton in a homemade living room performance of The Rite of Jupiter. They're all dressed up in their togas and their ivy in their hair. Here's the caption: Jupiter, circa 1982. Our son grew up amid a heavy schedule of magical events, public and private. Several of the 7 planetary rites of Aloysius afford rich opportunities for children to dress up and be part of the fun. This photo is from the Rite of Jupiter. In mythology, Jupiter, or Zeus, is the jovial and beneficent father god. He is also the father of Dionysus, god of wine and ecstasy. And so the Rite of Jupiter is intended to be lots of fun for all involved. The costuming and decorations follow a strict color scheme dictated by the particular planetary sphere on the Kabbalistic tree of life each rite concerns itself with. The sphere of Jupiter, Hesed, being the number 4 on the tree of life, is dominated by blues and purples. The costumes include accessories sacred to Zeus, such as eagles and thunderbolts, and Dionysus, such as snakes, leopard skins, and grapes. Here we see the boys wearing ivy wreaths, leopard skin, faux, grapes, and rubber snakes. Magic is not a belief system. I'm going to say that again, in case you missed that. Magic is not a belief system. At least as the term is commonly understood. So there was really not much doctrine with which we could indoctrinate Jean-Paul. Therefore, there was little for him to rebel against. Besides instructing him to always use common sense and logic when evaluating spiritual or philosophical ideas, we encouraged him to develop his own spiritual worldview. We exposed him to a broad spectrum of religious ideas and never pressured him to believe anything. As far as I can determine, our lifestyle provided a safe, nurturing, stimulating, and for as wild and crazy as things were, wholesome environment for a child to grow up in. We couldn't be prouder of the man he's become. Constance and I are both of the opinion, although there's no way to prove this, that the child chooses the parents and does so for reasons that none of us can or ever will completely understand with our meat brains. We may have our personal opinions and theories of child rearing, but neither of us would ever dream of telling another parent how to raise their child. That being said, I've got a few suggestions that might be helpful for magicians with children. Point. Don't make a big, spooky, dramatic deal about your magical studies and practices. Your involvement in magic might be dark, spooky, and mysterious to your parents and grandparents, but it shouldn't be dark or spooky for your children. It should be intelligent, fun, logical, beautiful, and above all, normal. To that end, point, don't behave as if the rest of the world is persecuting you for your magical beliefs or lifestyle. Point, don't suggest that your involvement in magic is in any way dangerous, sinful, or illegal. Point, don't expect children to understand the metaphoric reality of angels, demons, and gods. I'm going to repeat that. Don't expect children to understand the metaphoric reality of angels, demons, and gods. Finally, set a positive example. If the practice of magic makes you happy, let your children see and share your happiness. If the practice of magic does not make you happy, get into something else. Parenting is, always has been, and always shall be a challenging and sometimes frustrating endeavor. Your parents weren't perfect, and you won't be perfect either. Be prepared to forgive your parents for their imperfections. And if you're lucky, your own children will someday forgive you for yours. Your magic will not help you if you cannot free yourself of both the past and the future. And that's the end of Chapter 12, Magical Children. Tomorrow, Chapter 13, Magic on the Road. Okay, remember what I said about the availability for every one of these videos of these morning readings just by going on my Facebook page. Up at the top, the menus will eventually get you to where it says videos, and click on that and just shop to your heart's desire or heart's content. Continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.